Have you ever wondered what forces even the darkest powers in the universe cannot touch? Stay with me as we journey into a story that uncovers the 5 impossibilities truths that could redefine how you see spiritual battles and the strength of faith. Trust me, you won't want to miss the final revelation that could change everything. In the quiet village of Havenwood, rumors of unseen forces grow. Amelia, a young seeker of truth, stumbles upon an ancient text hidden in the church archives. It speaks of the 5 impossibilities, powers Satan himself cannot wield. Intrigued, she seeks counsel with Father Elias, who warns her of the dangers in delving too deep. Determined, Amelia begins her quest to uncover these truths, believing they hold the key to understanding spiritual battles. Her journey begins at the Whispering Woods, where shadows seem alive, and a chilling wind carries cryptic whispers. As Amelia ventures deeper, the woods grow darker. The wind seems to whisper her name, and an unshakable sense of being watched envelops her. She recalls Father Elias's warning, "Beware the tempter's illusions, they prey on fear." Just as doubt begins to creep in, a glowing figure appears. It is a messenger, an angelic being, who confirms the text's truths. The figure warns Amelia that while Satan is powerful, his reach is limited by divine law. The angel urges her to hold fast to her faith and never yield to despair, no matter what she encounters. Amelia presses forward, encountering a strange crossroads in the forest. She feels an unseen presence urging her to take a specific path, yet the angel's warning about illusions rings in her ears. Testing her faith, she prays for guidance. A faint breeze redirects her steps, leading her to a small clearing where she finds a crumbled statue of Saint Michael. There, she experiences a vision of a battle between light and darkness, showing her the first impossibility: Satan cannot force the faithful to sin. Empowered, she writes this revelation into her journal before continuing. Amelia leaves the clearing, her heart heavy with awe from the vision. The woods grow colder, and the path becomes more treacherous. Whispers surround her, growing louder with each step. A shadowy figure materializes before her, blocking her way. The figure speaks in a chilling voice, urging her to abandon her quest, claiming she cannot succeed against such forces. Amelia steadies herself and recalls the angel's words, "He cannot know your thoughts, only your fears." Speaking aloud, she rebukes the figure, and it vanishes. She writes this truth, "Satan cannot read minds," into her journal and presses onward. Emerging from the woods, Amelia finds herself at a secluded cabin. Inside lives an old hermit who claims to be a guardian of ancient wisdom. The hermit, sensing her quest, tells her of his own encounters with dark forces. He reveals that while Satan can tempt, he cannot compel anyone to sin. Amelia listens intently as the hermit recounts a tale of triumph over temptation, a battle of will that he won by clinging to God's promises. Thanking the hermit, Amelia records this third impossibility: Satan cannot force sin. She leaves, her determination renewed. Leaving the hermit's cabin, Amelia journeys into a vast desert, guided by a map from the hermit. The heat is oppressive, and her strength wanes. In the mirage-like haze, she sees a figure beckoning her toward an oasis. The figure promises relief, but speaks with forked words that instill doubt. Amelia kneels in prayer, and the vision dissolves, revealing the barren truth. She realizes that suffering cannot come without God's permission, as the story of Job has taught her. Recording this fourth impossibility, she gains strength to continue her journey through the harsh terrain. After enduring the desert, Amelia arrives at an imposing gate guarded by a hooded figure. The gatekeeper challenges her resolve, demanding to know why she seeks such dangerous truths. Amelia speaks with conviction, citing the strength that comes from knowing her salvation is untouchable. The gatekeeper steps aside, revealing an ancient path. Her journal gains its final entry: Satan cannot prevent salvation. The gate opens, and Amelia steps into a radiant realm, her quest fulfilled, armed with truths that will empower her and others in their spiritual battles. As Amelia passes through the radiant gates, the path ahead becomes surreal and disorienting. The air shimmers as though the realm itself resists her passage. She walks cautiously, her journal in hand, reflecting on the truths she has uncovered. Her thoughts are interrupted as the surroundings transform into scenes of her past regrets and failures, vividly brought to life. She begins to doubt her strength, questioning if she was ever meant to undertake such a mission. But then she remembers the angel's words. The enemy can project your fears, but not control your heart. She shuts her eyes, prays for clarity, and the illusions dissolve. The path ahead becomes clear, and Amelia feels a renewed sense of purpose. Continuing her journey, Amelia encounters a serene pool surrounded by white stones. The water's surface reflects the sky, but when she looks closer, she sees images of people she has hurt and moments of her own moral failures. Guilt washes over her as the reflections grow darker, threatening to pull her into despair. Kneeling by the pool, she prays for forgiveness, and the water begins to clear. A voice from the depths of her heart reminds her, the enemy can accuse but cannot condemn. Only God holds judgment. The water transforms into a calm mirror, reflecting her determined visage. She records this truth in her journal and moves forward, lighter and freer. The path leads Amelia into a dense forest where every step she takes is echoed by whispers. At first, they seem distant, but soon they grow louder, taking the form of condemning voices accusing her of pride, unworthiness, and failure. The overwhelming noise brings her to her knees, clutching her journal. She recalls the words of the hermit, "Satan uses lies to wear down the faithful, but truth is your shield." Opening her journal, she reads aloud the truths she has written, and the voices fade into silence. A beam of light breaks through the canopy, illuminating her path. With newfound confidence, she presses on. Emerging from the forest, Amelia finds herself in a vast valley. The ground is barren, and storm clouds churn above. The winds howl, and the air feels heavy with dread. Figures appear in the distance, marching toward her in formation. As they approach, they take the forms of fears she thought she had conquered: failure, loss, and isolation. Panic threatens to consume her, but she remembers her journal and the angel's reminder that Satan cannot control her faith. She stands firm, reciting scriptures of God's promises. The figures dissolve into harmless dust, and the storm begins to calm. She writes, "Faith is the key to triumph," and continues her journey. Amelia approaches the base of a towering mountain, its peak hidden in the clouds. The climb is arduous, with loose rocks and steep inclines. She feels her strength waning and questions whether she can endure. As she climbs, memories of her journey flash through her mind: her encounter with the angel, the hermit's counsel, and her triumphs over illusions and fears. These reflections remind her of her purpose. At the summit, she finds a stone altar with a glowing inscription. As she reads it, a voice fills the air: "You are shielded by grace, and no power of darkness can claim you." Her journal glows brightly as the truths within solidify in her heart. As Amelia begins her descent from the mountain, a sudden storm envelops her. The air grows thick with tension, and the winds howl with unnatural fury. Lightning streaks the sky, illuminating a shadowy figure at the base of the mountain. The figure mocks her resolve, claiming her journey has been in vain. The storm intensifies, and Amelia feels her faith being tested to its limit. She recalls the truths in her journal and opens it, the glow of its pages cutting through the darkness. She declares aloud, "You have no authority over me. My faith is my shield." The storm breaks instantly, and the figure vanishes, leaving a path bathed in sunlight. The storm leaves behind a serene plain stretching endlessly before Amelia. As she walks, she notices strange symbols etched into the ground, glowing faintly as if alive. Suddenly, she feels a presence. A voice whispers temptations of power and glory if she abandons her quest. The ground beneath her trembles, and the symbols grow brighter, forming a radiant circle. Amelia closes her eyes and prays, remembering the hermit's words. The enemy can offer illusions of power, but cannot grant true authority. The symbols fade, and the voice falls silent. With a renewed sense of purpose, she writes this lesson into her journal and continues across the plain. Pause for a moment and think, what do you believe is the greatest weapon against fear? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious to see if your answer aligns with the truth Amelia discovers next. Amelia reaches a river that cuts through the plain, its water shimmering like liquid light. As she approaches, the water reflects moments from her life, both joyous and painful. The memories threaten to overwhelm her, pulling her into a tide of regret. She hesitates, feeling the weight of her past mistakes. In a moment of clarity, she realizes these memories are not meant to condemn, but to remind her of the grace that has carried her this far. She kneels at the riverbank, allowing the water to wash over her hands, and feels a sense of peace. She writes, "Grace redeems where guilt cannot," into her journal and crosses the river. After crossing the river, Amelia encounters a narrow bridge suspended over a chasm. The bridge appears fragile, swaying in the wind. As she steps onto it, voices from the void below rise, mocking her resolve and planting seeds of doubt. Her steps falter, and the bridge shakes violently. She clutches her journal and begins reciting the truths she has written. My faith is unshakable. My salvation is secure. My God is with me. The voices grow fainter with each declaration, and the bridge stabilizes. By the time she reaches the other side, the void below is silent, and Amelia feels stronger than ever. On the other side of the bridge, Amelia encounters a towering guardian clad in armor, wielding a blazing sword. The guardian blocks her path, demanding proof of her worthiness to proceed. Amelia feels intimidated, but recalls that true worth comes not from deeds, but from grace. She holds up her journal, the truths within shining brightly. The guardian's sword lowers, and it kneels, acknowledging her resolve. Your faith has been tested and proven, it says. The path ahead glows with golden light, and Amelia steps forward, her heart full of gratitude and determination. Amelia arrives at the Temple of Truth, a grand structure of gleaming white marble with intricate carvings of divine battles. Inside, the air hums with energy, and she feels a deep sense of peace. In the center of the temple stands a pedestal with a glowing crystal. As Amelia approaches, the crystal speaks, recounting her journey and affirming the truths she has uncovered. It reveals the final lesson. The enemy cannot separate you from God's love. Tears stream down Amelia's face as the crystal's light surrounds her, filling her with unshakable faith. She writes the final truth in her journal and kneels in gratitude. As Amelia rises from her prayer at the Temple of Truth, she hears voices, a harmonious yet haunting choir filling the sacred hall. The melodies shift from celestial to discordant, pulling at her emotions. The air thickens with unseen tension as the voices attempt to fill her mind with doubt, proclaiming her journey futile. Amelia recognizes the tactic, a last attempt to sway her faith. She begins to sing in return, reciting passages of scripture she has memorized. Her voice strengthens with each verse, and the choir diminishes until silence prevails. The air lightens, and Amelia feels an unbreakable connection to her purpose. Leaving the temple, Amelia encounters a shimmering veil suspended in the air. It reflects an idyllic scene, a life free from hardship, full of wealth, fame, and ease. The reflection beckons her, promising fulfillment if she abandons her journey. The voice of the tempter grows louder, attempting to plant seeds of envy and desire. Amelia recalls the lessons of her journey. The enemy cannot offer true peace. Drawing her journal, she presses forward, stepping through the veil. It shatters like glass, leaving her surrounded by an open field bathed in sunlight. She smiles, knowing her heart is steadfast. As Amelia continues, she is drawn into a dark expanse where no light penetrates. The ground feels unstable, and the air is cold. Whispers creep around her, amplifying fears of abandonment. The tempter's voice grows louder, accusing her of being alone and forgotten. Amelia clutches her journal, struggling against the suffocating darkness. She falls to her knees, reciting her truths. I am never alone. God is with me. A beam of light pierces the abyss, illuminating her path. The voices fade into nothing, and the darkness retreats. Amelia stands, strengthened by the reminder that divine love is unyielding. Emerging from the abyss, Amelia finds herself in an endless desert under a blazing sun. Each step feels heavier, her energy sapped by the oppressive heat. The voice returns, taunting her with accusations. You are not strong enough. Your journey is meaningless. Amelia remembers job trials and the truth that suffering cannot exist without God's purpose. She kneels and writes in her journal. Faith thrives in adversity. The wind picks up, sweeping away the sand and revealing a hidden path. Renewed, she rises and follows a way forward, her resolve unwavering. Amelia arrives at an enormous gate carved with intricate depictions of battles between light and darkness. The carvings seem to move as if alive, replaying scenes of conflict. Standing before the gate is a figure in dark armor, its face obscured by shadows. It demands she turn back, declaring that no mortal can endure what lies beyond. Amelia feels fear but responds with scripture. Greater is he who is in me than he who is in the world. The figure dissipates, and the gates open, revealing a path of radiant light leading upward. She steps through with her journal in hand. The path through the gate spirals upward, leading to an otherworldly summit. Amelia climbs steadily, her journey's truths echoing in her mind. The air grows thin, but she presses on, her journal glowing brighter with each step. At the peak, she finds an altar surrounded by a circle of radiant figures, angels, singing a song of victory. As she places her journal on the altar, the truths she has written transform into beams of light that ascend into the heavens. Amelia feels a profound peace, knowing her journey has completed its purpose. As the beams of light ascend from her journal, Amelia feels herself lifted into a celestial space. Around her, luminous beings gather, their forms shifting between human and divine. They are the Council of Light, guardians of eternal truth. One steps forward and speaks with a voice like rolling thunder. Your journey has revealed the strength of faith and the limits of darkness. We grant you the final gift of understanding. The council weaves her truths into a radiant crown, placing it upon her head. Amelia feels empowered, as if every hardship she endured now strengthens her soul. After her encounter with the Council of Light, Amelia finds herself in a serene meadow. The grass sways gently in a breeze, and the air carries the scent of flowers. She feels an overwhelming sense of peace, her burdens lifted. Around her, small creatures and birds move without fear, as if sensing her transformed presence. Amelia reflects on her journey and realizes the profound truth. Her trials were not just for her own growth, but to inspire others. She writes one final entry in her journal. Faith is a torch passed to others. She rests for the first time in what feels like an eternity. Amelia awakens to find herself back at the edge of Havenwood, her village, as if no time has passed. The familiar sights and sounds comfort her, but she feels different, stronger, wiser, and more connected to her faith. She carries her journal, now fully illuminated, and heads toward the church. Father Elias awaits her, his face lighting up as he sees her approach. She shares her journey and the truths she has uncovered. The villagers gather as she speaks, and the power of her words ignites a renewed sense of hope and faith in all who hear them. Days turn to weeks, and Amelia becomes a source of spiritual strength in Havenwood. She teaches the villagers the 5 truths she uncovered, and her journal becomes a symbol of hope, its light unyielding. Word spreads beyond the village, and people from neighboring towns come to hear her speak. Father Elias remarks that her faith has become a flame lighting the way for others. Amelia reflects on how each trial she faced prepared her for this moment, and she silently thanks the divine for the strength to endure. She realizes her journey is far from over, but embraces it with joy. As Amelia's influence grows, skeptics arrive, challenging her faith and the truths she has shared. One night, a stranger appears in the village, claiming her truths are fabricated. Amelia calmly invites the stranger to hear her testimony, recounting her journey with passion and humility. The stranger is visibly moved, and by the end of her story, they kneel, asking for guidance in their own faith. Amelia understands in that moment that her purpose is not to convince, but to bear witness, trusting the divine to work through her words and actions. In her final days, Amelia returns to the Whispering Woods where her journey began. She kneels beneath the ancient trees, her journal still glowing softly. She thanks the divine for guiding her through darkness and for the truths that transformed her life. The journal's light grows brighter until it ascends into the heavens, leaving her with a sense of fulfillment. A voice whispers, "Well done, faithful servant." Amelia smiles, knowing her journey has made a lasting impact. She rises and walks back to the village, her heart full, ready for whatever lies ahead. Amelia's journey teaches us that even in the darkest moments, the light of truth shines brighter. Which of the 5 impossibilities resonated with you the most? Comment below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to join us for more stories that inspire and challenge your perspective. Together, let's keep uncovering truths that empower us all.